Hey guys, I'm Patrick and I'm a video apprentice at Global. So in this video I'm going to be giving you a few tips about applying for an apprenticeship, your interview and then how it goes when you join the job. So just a bit about myself before we get into it. As I said, I'm Patrick, I'm a video apprentice and I work at Global, which is a media and entertainment group. We produce radio stations, we have a lot of video content online, so basically something for everyone. Um, a bit about what I do in my job: I work on video podcasts, which is the bulk of Global Studios, which is where the bit I work in. We do all sorts of podcasts with Danny Dyer. We have an award-winning one called the News Agents, which is really good. So I work across those commercial campaigns, which is working with clients and other companies who partnership with us to create videos for them. And these will be platforms on Global Player or on the radio station, things like that. I also do content for Smooth Radio and Capital Extra and other radio stations. These are like interviews and speaking to people in the industry. So this could be like celebrities or anyone that the radio station wants to have on. We do a video version of that, so you don't have to just listen to it, you can watch it. And I also work on events as well. So in the past, I've worked on the Jingle Bell Ball one time, and then I did it again this year. And I was working quality control, cutting out swearing on the live stream. So yeah, just a little role that I do once a year. So a bit about how I got my apprenticeship, where I was in my life before I got my apprenticeship, and why I decided to choose an apprenticeship over other avenues of study. So the reason I picked an apprenticeship was because, firstly, was the money motivation, in the fact that going to university leaves you in a lot of debt, and that really sold it for me because that meant that for a year and a half I'd have an income. It'd be like a job, you know. You can see how that's appealing. Also, the opportunity to develop my skills in my career, it was huge. I mean, working at a big company like Global meant that every single day I learned something new. I'm working with people, you know, who are really talented and have been in their job for years and years. So working around those people has already taught me so much, and I'm glad that I chose chose the apprenticeship for that reason as well. One of the reasons I feel I got my apprenticeship was because in the interview they were asking a lot of questions about what have you done in the past, and having experience in things is really important. So it's important to have evidence to back it up as well. So for example, in my interview they asked me, what sort of work have you done in the past in video? And I spoke about my side gig, which was working at a YouTube channel, editing gaming content and stuff. It was a freelance role and it gave me loads of experience in editing and online content that had a lot of views as well. So being able to show someone something you've done, and it doesn't have to be a huge thing. It can be something that you do on a weekly basis that you do for a personal project. As long as you have experience and you can back it up with evidence that people can watch, or if you are working in another side of the media industry, maybe you write newspapers or you do blogs and things like that. Just having something to show someone that you've done something in the past is really important, because it shows that you can do something instead of just telling someone about it. As well, if you're doing schoolwork, so say you're in A-levels or you're in college doing a media specific course, if they're probably going to ask you what you're doing in school at this time or what have you done in school. Show them something you're really proud of. So maybe your endpoint project could be a good choice, or anything like that. I mean, as long as you're proud of it, just show it to someone, show it to them, and having evidence is really important. I'm just going to go on to my first tip, which is be yourself. This is really important because when you get the job, you're going to be spending a lot of time around the people that are hiring you, and if you're not yourself in your interview and in your application, it's kind of weird. People want to see you for who you are, so having honesty and being an approachable person is really valuable in your interviews and in your job. This is something that I try to do as much as possible. Even in my interview, they asked me, do I listen to radio? And I'm working in a radio company, and I said, look, I don't really listen to radio a lot, but I am interested in it, and it wouldn't affect me working in radio. So I mean, it's taking that leap, but just being yourself is really important. Tip number 2 is to show yourself off, but don't be big-headed. So what that means is when someone asks you, what have you worked on in the past, tell them the things you're proud of, things that you've done in the past that you're happy to show someone, and show yourself off a little bit, because people will be impressed if they like your content. But in return, ask them the same question, because then they get to speak about themselves a little bit. people in the media industry love to tell each other about what they've done. Um, and yeah, it's a great way to make connections. So yeah, show yourself off a little bit. Tip number 3 is ask questions. So a bit like what I said just now is asking questions is really important because it's how you learn things. And if you don't ask, you won't get. So like this includes asking for opportunities, be humble, be nice about it, but say you want to work on a project and you haven't been invited on it, maybe ask them, look, can I be a runner or can I shadow you on this? Because then you get to see how everything actually works, and you can then, if you do really well on that project, for example, it might lead to more opportunities. So yeah, just ask questions, ask for help with things as well if you don't know what you're doing, because sometimes asking for help is better than just sitting there confused and clueless, maybe. Especially for an apprentice, you can be working in an actual company, and sometimes it's weird to feel like asking questions because you kind of feel like you're not doing your job properly, but you're an apprentice and you're there to learn. So asking questions is really, really important, and people like to answer your questions, especially if it's going to help you out with your job. So yeah. And tip number 4, so know your strengths. For example, if editing is your thing and you know you're good at it, be enthusiastic to help, because then if you do something really well, people will be impressed, and there's no awkwardness when you do something wrong. But leading on to this, if there's something you're unsure of, don't jump straight in. So be realistic and be honest, because if you want to learn something like camera work, for example, you haven't done a lot of camera work, don't say, oh yeah, sure, I'll be a camera operator on that shoot, because in that situation, you might not actually know how to use that camera very well, and the end product might be not what people expected. So do things well that you're good at, and then take in your free time to learn these new skills. So then you can say, oh, I'll help out with that, because there's nothing worse than doing something wrong and being disappointed that you couldn't help out. So yeah, just be realistic, and that's just really important, because if you're not realistic about what you can and can't do, you might get yourself stuck in awkward situations where you have to apologise, but really you shouldn't have put yourself in that situation in the first place. But if you know your employer well and you speak to a manager regularly, they won't put you on a project you can't do. They'll know your strengths, but just know your strengths. Sorry. So yeah, tip number 5. So tip number 5 is to set some boundaries in your workplace. When you start working in your apprenticeship or in any job, people might begin to depend on you. This is great, but taking on too much work can have a negative effect, especially if you don't deliver. So what I mean by this is, when you start your job, you want to make a good impression and you want to take on loads of work, you want to impress people, and that is how it will go. If you do really well, people will love your work, they'll speak about you, they'll be like, oh, so and so did a really good job on this, and more people will ask for your help. But if you take on too much work, it can lead to burnout. You might not enjoy yourself in your job as much as you want to. So yeah, just be realistic, set some boundaries, and then everyone's going to love you. That's really important. And my last tip, which I know it's cliche, but you have to get out there. You have to start doing stuff. If something interests you, put yourself forward and continue to learn as much as possible, so that when you come to your new apprenticeship, we come to interview, if someone asks you, can you do this, you might be able to say, yeah, I can do that. I've done this and this, and I have experience doing that, and that's really, really important. And that just ticks a box for people. That ticks a box for your employer, and it means that you can start doing more stuff, expanding your knowledge. And then when it comes to your new apprenticeship, it'll be a no-brainer to employ you. So yeah, thank you and good luck with your apprenticeship. Thank you so much for watching. And yeah, my LinkedIn's there, Patrick Leamy. If you want to ask me any questions, feel free. But yeah, really good luck in your apprenticeship, and speak to you soon.